bell is a bell of mindfulness. And what that means is that it is a voice that says, stop and pay attention. So I'm going to sound the bell, and that is going to be an opportunity for each one of us to become aware of our breathing. And all you have to do is notice. This is the most important thing. I just want to stress, you'll hear me stress this over and over again. This is actually an incredibly simple practice. All you have to do is notice. You don't have to make your breath do anything special. You don't have to make it be any special way. You don't have to breathe deeply. You don't have to breathe long. None of that. It's just very, very simple. Just notice that you're breathing. Notice that it's an in-breath. Notice that it's an out-breath. That's all. And if you can do that for 3 consecutive in and out breaths, that's really good. Okay? So that's how we're going to start. So what we need to be able to do is to reach inside of ourselves. And all that this is a great process of unwrapping something that is already there, that has never left us, that has always been who we truly are, and has just gotten covered over by a whole bunch of stuff. That stuff kind of falls into 2 basic categories, if you want to call them that. One is thoughts, and the other is emotions, feelings. Okay? And this type of meditation practice makes a distinction between those two in terms of how they're handled and what they do. So what I'm going to tell you, just to start with, is that you cannot will your mind to stop. So stop trying, because it won't work. It's like trying to relax. Have you ever tried to relax? Have you ever had somebody ask you to try to relax? It doesn't work. Same thing about stopping your mind. You cannot try to stop your mind. You cannot force this. And that's true about all of this process. This is a process of letting go. So how do we get there? Well, we need to be able to, first, we need to learn how to stop. And that's what a lot of the first part of this course is about, is learning how to stop. So the first thing I'd like to introduce you to is a perception of meditation as something beyond what you do when you close your eyes. In fact, you'll rarely hear me refer to what we do when we're sitting in a chair as meditation. You'll hear me refer to it as sitting meditation, and there's a reason. Because it's meditation that we're doing while we're sitting down. You can do meditation standing up. You can do meditation while you're walking. You can do meditation doing anything. You can do meditation washing the dishes, changing a diaper, driving your car. Although I would recommend, if you're driving your car, that you don't go too deep, because you get into an altered state and weird things happen. But you get the point. So now how do you go about doing this? Well, you use these sitting meditation periods as training periods. So they serve really 2 different important functions. One is to train us in how to focus our attention. Once we learn how to focus our attention, we have the potential to focus our attention inside and to be able to let ourselves sink into the reality of who we are. All right? So that's number 1. The other is that it gives us the opportunity to get to know how our minds work, what the thoughts are, what the feelings are. The thoughts are not important. Your story is not important. Your story is a trap. Your story is everything that you have created that is your conditioning. And that's how we see the world. We see the world through the conditioning. It's like we're looking through veils, and there are many of them. We don't even know many of them are there. But every time that we have that story going on, and every time we get caught up in it, every time we get caught up in the circumstances of our lives, our situation, our ideas, our concepts, we're looking through a veil of some sort or another, right? So this is about learning how to disengage from that. It doesn't mean that that's necessarily going to stop, but it does mean that you're not going to be taking it so seriously. What we are interested in is letting go of the thinking, letting go of the thoughts enough so that we can see our way clear of them. Feelings are a little different, because feelings we experience in our bodies as sensations. In pure form, that's what they are. That's feeling free of tags and labels, which name them, okay, and free of the stories which we think are what created them, but in my experience are actually what spin out of the emotion. The emotion comes first. The story spins out as a way that the mind has of explaining what the emotion is. So what we're going to learn how to do here is we're going to learn how to do sitting meditation. And what you're going to do as your home play in the time between classes is you're going to do some sitting meditation, but you're also going to be looking at how can I make this a part of my daily life? How can I incorporate bells of mindfulness, which may not sound like that one or look like that are going to be constant reminders for me to come back to this place inside of myself. All right? Drop out of the head and into the heart. Okay? Well, how am I going to do that? What kind of reminders am I going to build in? If you have a copy of my book, you're going to find in week 1, you're going to find a list of some suggested daily life mindfulness things. There's simple things like turning on an electric light, putting your key in the door of your house, starting your car. Simple stuff we do every day, stuff we do multiple times every day. When I was working full time, this was my way of doing it. Every time I stood up and walked, I did walking meditation. That meant I paid attention to my steps, I paid attention to my breathing, I changed my focus that way. Didn't matter where I was going. If I was going over to someone else's desk, I did walking meditation there. If I was going to the bathroom, I did walking meditation there. If I was going outside, I did walking meditation. Whatever it was, that was what I did. And walking meditation in its purest form is walking simply for the sake of walking, not to arrive anywhere, not to go anywhere. It's just walk to walk, period. Just like doing sitting meditation is not really to achieve anything or attain anything. There is nothing to attain and there is nothing to achieve. So I didn't say this was going to be easy. I said I didn't say meditation made easy. I said meditation made simple, right? So it is really simple. It's just really, really simple. So the first thing that most people need to get a handle on is, what do I do with my runaway mind? What do I do with the runaway thoughts, the cascade of thinking that just never seems to stop? No matter what I'm doing, something is going on in my head, which may or may not have anything to do with what it is, what activity I'm involved in. And so what we first need to do is learn how to focus our attention. And one of the basic, this is like fundamental basic practice, is learning how to count. Counting your breathing. I know this sounds like, oh my God, it's kindergarten or preschool. He's going to ask us to count from 1 to 10 and then from 10 back to 1. And because that's what I'm going to ask you to do. And see whether you can make it from 1 to 10 and from 10 back to 1, remembering the numbers, being aware that each in-breath is an out-breath, and in-breath, and each out-breath is an out-breath. Just doing that without getting distracted, without losing your way, okay? And just treat this like a game of hopscotch. So when you lose your way, you go back to 1 again, right? So maybe the first time you do it, you make it up to 5, and then you're back to 1 again. And then you maybe make it up to 6, and you're back to 1, and then maybe you make it to 3, and you're back to 1. Or maybe you make it to 10. And you get so excited that you made it to 10, so that then you forget again and go back to 1 again. Okay? You see what I mean? So it's really, it's a game. It's a little game that will help you focus your attention. You're going to hear the sound of the bell. And I'm going to ask you to do this practice until you hear the sound of the bell a second time. All right? Let yourself relax a little bit. Don't hold yourself tense or tight. Okay. How are you doing with all of this? Everyone doing well? Having an easy time changing the focus of your attention? Yeah? No? Okay.
I did really good on the counting.
Uh-huh.
The counting was really successful.
The counting was really successful. The other part is more difficult, isn't it? Okay. All right, so now what that tells you is where you need to go. Right? How many people found it as easy to focus their attention as they did to do the counting? Anyone? Yeah, you did. Okay. No? All right. So then you know where to begin. You need to begin with the counting. So how many other people dozed off? Okay, good. Have you had a long day?
I've been sick for 4 days. This is my first day back at work. So
Oh, yeah. You're tired.
I'm tired.
Tired? Long day?
No, not that much.
Probably.
A little bit. Who else? Tired? Yeah? Tired? Yeah. Okay. So I'll pass along a piece of advice to the people who are tired from Thich Nhat Hanh. When somebody asked him, Thai, what do you do when you get sleepy when you're doing meditation? He said, well, if you get sleepy when you're doing meditation, maybe you're tired, so you need to lie down. Okay. And until we get to the point of being able to be in that state and keep ourselves awake and not go into that state to go to sleep. Do you know what I mean? We're moving into this state so that we can be one and we can be awake to being one. That's the process is about waking up. It's not about going to sleep. It's not about going into a trance. It's not about zoning out. It's about waking up. If you sense a little urgency in my voice, it's like this is the central message that I have to give you. This is about waking up. It's about waking up to who we really are. And that is urgent. That is an imperative, as far as I'm concerned. That's what it's all about.